offensively, we didn't hit some of the targets that we talked about. Defensively, keeping the quarterback in the pocket continues to be an issue. Offensively, look, the turnovers, we don't have a team that can lose the turnover battle and expect to win a football game. We got to do a better job with the turnovers. We have to do a better job with the negative plays. And, just overall, we just have to be good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. This is the aftermath, and that was Drake Maye facing the facts, looking in the mirror and saying exactly what he sees, and hopefully telling his team the same thing. We're going to look at that approach for the Patriots, which I think is a long time overdue, understanding what you really are as a team. Not just there's going to be a wave of the wand or a spray or a spritz, and it's going to take the stink away. Understanding that you're this bad a team with this much of a roster issue and still trying to get through the year with urgency and improvement. Not just saying, if we do this or that, we'll be able to get through. No Phil Perry in person tonight. He's going to get a red eye back from Santa Clara so he can be in town to do the breakdown with Ted Johnson. But we will strip in from Post Game Live, our appearance with Phil. But first things first, I think that we can all understand now that a good team in a bad mood at home beats a bad team on the road with myriad injuries. That's what we saw on Sunday. That really is distilling it down to the essence. Patriots lose 30-13, but you had a team at 1-2 in San Francisco that had no business being 1-2, coming off a loss to the Los Angeles Rams, and understanding as they get back George Kittle and Deebo Samuel, and they have the opportunity to exert their program on a Patriots team dotted with injuries, coming to the West Coast, coming off of a loss to the Jets. They were ripe for the picking. And picking the Niners did do, specifically picking on the Patriots offensive line. Dante Scarnecchia told us all last week on this podcast that until the Patriots prove they can deal with the blitz, they're going to keep seeing more of it. Even from not so blitz-happy teams like the Jets, who uncorked a number of blitzes on the Patriots and folded Jacoby Brissett up like a lounge chair. The Niners, with a similar defensive style, unloaded blitz after blitz and exposed the Patriots. Didn't help that David Andrews left early and after the second drive with a shoulder injury that puts his immediate future, in some doubt. Doesn't help either that the Patriots had DeMontre Jacobs, a guy that they plucked off the roster of the Denver Broncos and stuck him in at left tackle because they didn't have Vidarian Lowe. And Chukwueze left a long time ago, relatively speaking. Sidney So was back, making his first start back at left guard because Cole Strange still not in the mix, and Sidney would probably have that spot anyway. And then you had Layden Robinson at the right guard spot, and he's a rookie. You had no Caden Wallace to speak of. He made a brief cameo. But you also had no Michael Jordan, another guy who had been elevated from the practice squad. So those injuries are part of what we watched. But they're reasons, not excuses. They're reasons for the ultimate result of Jacoby Brissett taking a pounding. But there had to be ways for the Patriots to mitigate the heat and the pressure that Jacoby Brissett would be under. The team had to perform better after having 10 days off than they had against the Jets. They needed to show a level of efficiency and energy and preparedness. Did they do that? Did Drake Maye, in one of his first real tests as head coach, in dealing with adversity in season, get his team to a point where they were ready to go? I wouldn't say resoundingly no. But when you see Ramondre Stevenson fumble for the fourth straight game, and you see an inability to get the ball out on time from Jacoby Brissett, and an inability to game anything up to get guys uncovered quickly from Alex Van Pelt, I can't say it's an A in preparedness. I can't say it's an F when I see them compete the way they did throughout the game, especially defensively. The tackling improved. But Brock Purdy was still close to 20 yards per completion. Now, I can say, Kyle Duggar's out. Jalen Hawkins is in. And you just lost Juwan Bentley, still recent. And Christian Barmore's been gone for weeks, so your defense isn't what you thought it would be. But still, they're getting lit up on the defensive side of the ball in a way that is troubling. And offensively, they are what they are, which is a team that can't get the ball out on time and has no threats down the field. We had a conversation you're going to listen to in postgame with Phil about seeing Brandon Ayuk playing for the other team and whether or not the Patriots miss that kind of player. I don't know if Jacoby Brissett actually has the time to entertain the idea of getting the ball down the field to a player like Brandon Ayuk. Would he be getting the ball? Would he have a day where he's going 8 for 96 or 4 for 103? Doubt it. He does not have the time to get the ball out. As the 6 sacks on Sunday illustrate. I mentioned it before how the injuries affect this result and have affected the performance. But they are what they are. They're not going to postpone the games. Another thing that Dante kind of alluded to. Which brings us back to Jacoby Brissett. And this was telling because this is what Hunter Henry had to say about Brissett after the game, because we all know where the conversation's headed.
Man, Jacoby's just a warrior, standing back there and continuing to take hits and continuing to battle. Love playing for Jacoby.
You know, I said at halftime on our halftime live show, after watching Brissett hold the ball, after watching the Patriots eschew the opportunity to go for it on 4th and 3 early and eventually punt, after they had an unimaginative play call on a 4th and 1 that resulted in them being turned away and having no points from just about the cusp of the red zone, that the Patriots are too cautious. They're too cautious in the way they're operating on offense. Jacoby Brissett personally seems too cautious. I saw occasions when Demario Douglas was open over the middle. You saw it on the replay too, waving his arms, wanting to get a ball. The throw to Jalen Polk that was ultimately picked off. There was another crosser heading towards the right sideline. I think Greg Olson highlighted that on the telecast. He's open too. Jacoby tried to fit it over Fred Warner, one of the best inside linebackers in football, into what was an exceedingly tight window. It didn't work. That turned into 7 the other way. So while I'm criticizing Jacoby for being cautious, he went away from Douglas and went towards someone that he kind of pre-designed and predestined would be open. The caution that they're showing, Jacoby, Van Pelt, the Patriots in general with Drake Maye, really is oozing from the team. And they're trying to really toe the line between, hey, we don't want to beat ourselves, and, hey, let's go and win the football game. If everything breaks their way, they're going to win. But if it doesn't and the Patriots miss out on the breaks, they're not prepared to go into an attack mode to rebalance and to level the playing field. And that's a tough way to go into a game. They can't be a game plan team offensively because they're installing a new offense. So they are what the Patriots used to make fun of. A game plan team. A we do what we do type team. And what they do right now is they try to run the ball, and they're not doing it effectively, and Ramondre's got some fumbling issues. And they try to protect the quarterback, and they need to play from ahead with this kind of an offense. They can't do that. So you look at Jacoby Brissett and his hesitancy to let his back foot hit and get the ball out, and then you see sacks taken, and you saw a pick today, and it's inevitable that you say, is he becoming an impediment to winning? Would the team be better if Drake Maye was out there? That's the logical question when you have a 3rd overall pick spent on a promising player who can do some things physically better than Jacoby Brissett. How does that decision get made? As we've seen so far, Alex Van Pelt's loyalty to Jacoby Brissett is profound. He has a loyalty to Brissett because he believes Brissett will be the best executor of his offense, Van Pelt's, as they install it. He'll be the best to have the tools at the line of scrimmage to get them in and out of bad plays. He'll be the one who's going to make the sound decisions. And except for that pick, let's be honest, he has taken remarkably good care of the football. If Drake Maye was out there, would the Patriots be anything but 1-3? Yeah, they might be 0-4. I don't know if they're going to beat Cincinnati with Drake Maye in the first game in the NFL starting. They weren't going to win today. I don't think they were going to win against the Jets. There's just not enough protection. Given that fact, though, can the Patriots look Jacoby Brissett and say, you're not getting it done? Can they look him in the eye and say, we need to make a change? Because they also have to know in their heart of hearts that there's really nothing the guy could have done in these weeks because of the lack of protection. Yeah, maybe the ball could come out quicker. To what end? Not like guys are running naked and afraid down the field 31 yards. These are underneath throws of 6 yards. The guy's going to go down pretty quick afterwards. The Patriots need to construct 13-play drives for 69 yards that result in field goals. They're not a chunk-biting team. So we can critique Brissett for not getting the ball out on time, but I don't think that he's preventing them from winning yet. In other words, I don't think that the Patriots coaching staff can look at him and say, you're killing us out there. And as a result, I don't think they're going to go to Drake Maye yet. If they gave Brissett an opportunity behind a healthy offensive line, and he was not able to perform, then I'd say, yeah, get him out. But just to get Drake Maye in there for a new look, for some more athleticism, for some runaround appeal, I don't know if that's a good enough reason to shelve this plan that you have genuflected at since March. You say you have a plan. Well, now that you see how bad it can look, 24-3 on national television, non-competitive for much of the day against San Francisco in the 4 o'clock window, now that you see it playing out, now that you see how horrible the preparation was on the offensive line, a continuation of the horrible personnel decisions and lack of urgency shown on that offensive line that's gone on for really years and years and years in the personnel department. Now that you see how bad it looks, wouldn't it be a panic decision to just say, we'll get Maye in there, it can't look any worse? Because the reason Maye is sitting is you want him to develop in an organized fashion. The Patriots have, quite honestly, been disorganized in a breathtaking way in the past 5 years. Think about it. Not really ready for Tom Brady to depart. He did. Their plan was our dear friend Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham. Until nobody wanted Cam Newton, they said, well, hell, let's get him. He'll play for nothing. Brought him in, changed the whole offense. It's no real concrete plan. That's not a plan. It's flying by the seat of your pants. 2021, you know what the plan was? Buy everything. Buy a Nelson Aguilar, buy a Kendrick Bourne, buy a Jonnu Smith, buy a Hunter Henry, buy a Devon Godshaw, buy a Jalen Mills. Buy them all. Take the Alabama quarterback. Take the Alabama defensive tackle. Get some wins out of it because you have a pretty good core of players still, especially in your offensive line. But what was your offensive line plan when you said Joe Thuney can go pound sand and sign for whatever he wants someplace else? And what was your offensive line plan when you traded Shaq Mason? Both those guys are 31 years old. Both are still starters in the NFL at a fairly high level, especially Thuney. Wouldn't Thuney, Andrews, Onwenu, and Shaq look pretty good up front still? I mean, they could be doing that. But they wanted to move on from those players, so they did. And they drafted Cole Strange, and he's been hurt and somewhat ineffective. They wanted a core. Look, the point I'm trying to make is the Patriots have not approached things in an organized fashion. So to just panic and throw up your hands and say, let's put Drake Maye in there now, when you didn't plan on putting him out there until he was ready and the team was ready, would feel like a panic move. But that is the difficulty of sticking to a plan when you're bleeding out. As Mike Tyson and Bill Parcells both said, don't know who said it first, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Well, they've been punched in the mouth. They're bleeding out of the mouth. Do they stick to the plan or do they panic? Or is it even panic? Could Maye be better? I don't necessarily think Maye's presence out there leads to wins, but does it ramp up his development? I don't think that Drake Maye is the least bit susceptible to physical abuse in the way that people perceive. I watched every snap he took at North Carolina last year. He got roped. Watch the Maryland game. Do yourself a favor. He takes a helmet between the ribs in the back. And the next play, he makes one of the most impressive throws of the entire game. He got it from a defensive tackle. I wrote the story. Maybe I'll retweet that sometime this week. Just observing how much physical resilience he had. So maybe they ought to go ahead and do it because he could take the beating. And he's going to have to learn sometime. Put him in the highway. I just don't think the Patriots are going to do that. And the reason being, you have a winnable game against Miami. You can put him out there against Miami, meaning Brissett, behind what should still be an offensive line that is getting him punished, but still have an opportunity to beat Tim Boyle or Skylar Thompson or Tyrod Huntley. Scoop. Is it Scoop? No, Snoop. Snoop Huntley. You know, you can do that because you should have much more of a fighting chance than the Patriots did on Sunday when they were a bad team on the road against a good team in a bad mood. We're going to be back at it again, of course, later this week with Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast on Tuesday. Right now, though, I'm going to throw it to our post-game live segment with Phil Perry, Michael Hawley, and Ted Johnson. Appreciate you. I hope you understand why it's a little abbreviated, and I hope I didn't drive you bananas with my monologuing. Here's the post-game live segment. Talk to you soon.
All right, let's talk to our guy, Phil Perry. And Phil, Jabril Peppers says we got to be honest with ourselves as we watch film. I wonder if he'll have the honesty to say, I look at the offense and I see no spark. Is the big issue offensively, Phil, is that they just don't have any dynamic playmakers?
Yeah, they're completely punchless offensively, Michael. This is the kind of game where, you know what, Tom Curran, it would be a good thing to have Brandon Ayuk on your side because they are going to get down in these games. Unless you can tell me they're going to play with an even score or from ahead the rest of the season, they're going to have to figure out a way to push it down the field. I talked to Jacoby Brissett after the game about that long 4th and 5 attempt deep down the field. Wasn't sure about the decision there. But basically he said, yeah, they were playing us tight. They were playing us short. They were ready to jump everything that we had through the air. They just don't have any dynamic playmakers to be able to stretch the field and make themselves in any way, shape, or form any kind of diverse offense that can come back from any kind of deficit. It was absolutely punchless, again, is the word I come back to. Jacoby Brissett's completed passes, guys, traveled on average 3.1 yards down the field. That is comically short. It's second to last in the NFL for week 4, ahead of only the incomparable Bo Nix. They have to find a way to push the ball down the field. They just don't have the people to do it.
Phil, I will allow that perhaps he would be more open. You know, Brandon Ayuk and the guys they have out there. But Jacoby Brissett spends virtually every play flat on his back staring at the clouds. He doesn't have the time to wait for Brandon Ayuk to get open, nor does he have the disposition to pull the trigger. What he does have, though, is toughness. Is toughness enough for him to keep the position that he has right now as Patriots starter?
You know, I'm not sure, Tom, because the Patriots absolutely love his toughness. Just coming out of the Patriots locker room, I got to talk to Layden Robinson, rookie guard, guy who's just in his 4th NFL game. He's sitting there looking at Jacoby Brissett in the huddle, and the fact that he continues to get up after taking the shots that he's taking, the fact that he is saying with his presence, hey guys, I'm here with you. Let's keep going. That motivates these guys. That inspires these guys. That's what Robinson told me just a few minutes ago. But when you're playing the way he's playing, 168 yards through the air, that is far exceeding what the Patriots were through the air through 3 weeks, where they averaged 102 yards passing. So that improved a bit. But to me, there are too many plays where there is, it looks like, either meat left on the bone because of a missed pass down the field, or I'm wondering, guys, if all the pressure and all the hits he's taken, another 6 sacks today, is starting to lead to some skittishness in the pocket for him. It just felt like there were moments today where he's trying to scramble away from pressure and he ends up losing the football. There were 2 or 3 occasions where the football's on the ground. He's trying to avoid pressure, but instead of maybe throwing it away or throwing it maybe to a covered receiver because you have to take that chance with this offense that you're surrounded by, he instead is holding onto the football and taking sacks. Sacks are a quarterback stat almost as much, if not just as much as it is an offensive line stat. And the Patriots offense simply can't continue to exist the way that it's going right now. I wonder if the Patriots coaching staff looks at it the same way.
Philip, I got to tell you, I've been critical of the defense all season long. I don't think they've played great. But today in particular, you talk about the defense having to overcome a lot of deficiencies on offense. The offense for the Patriots put this Patriots defense in a tough spot all game long. I think San Fran had 13 points off of turnovers. What are your thoughts on just the dynamic between the 2 units, and are you hearing any issues that those 2 units might be having behind the scenes?
I wouldn't call them issues, Ted, but it does feel like deja vu for this Patriots defense. Talking to Jabril Peppers after the fact, the mindset that they approach every week with is, well, the other team can't win if we don't let them score. That's a hell of a way to try to win defensively in the NFL, where you feel like you have to pitch a shutout just to give your team a chance. That was their refrain each of the last 2 seasons. It has now crept into this season, and yeah, you're right. 13 points off turnovers. You have the pick 6, you have the Ramondre Stevenson 1-play series fumble that leads to 3 points, put them right there in field goal range, and they had a late turnover on downs. That, again, gives the 49ers the football already in field goal range. So I'm with you. They were not great. There were errors all over the place. They were letting Brock Purdy out of the pocket. They were not able to hold an edge against the run with Anthony Jennings out. But you're really directly responsible on the road for 17 points against what has been one of the most efficient offenses in football this year. You're just not being given a chance by your offense, which, again, to me, you have to look at this long and hard if you're the Patriots coaching staff and wonder if a change at quarterback would help rise all boats.
And that's the question of the Patriots.
I'm tired.
Yeah, you're going to be tired. You got to get back here for the
breakdown.
The breakdown. Phil, you said before the game this would conceivably be Jacoby's last stand. I wonder, though, if next week or this week would be the time to make the change, given that you have a Miami team that's a little diminished coming to your place right now. And it was DeMontre Jacobs and Layden Robinson and City So in his first game back, and Andrews is now hurt. Do you want to put Maye into that situation? Also, do you want to give Jacoby his last stand when he had so little of a shot with Nick Bosa chewing the face off of poor DeMontre Jacobs?
It's a great point, Tom. And the line's not getting any healthier. I watched Caden Wallace leave the locker room on crutches with a walking boot on. He had to leave the game with an ankle injury today. So my guess is he's not going to be available to play left tackle next week. So it could be DeMontre Jacobs yet again against Miami Dolphins. Who knows what's going on with David Andrews? But when you're ruled out as quickly as he was ruled out, that doesn't bode well for his immediate future and his availability for next week. So they may want to try to see if they can get by with Jacoby Brissett for another week, allow another week for Drake Maye to develop and bake, sit there in the oven and give him a little bit more time. And maybe you're giving your offensive line a little bit more time to get healthy so that whether it's week 6, week 7, maybe it's early November, then you have a better situation for Drake Maye to step into. It's a good point by you. The situation with the offensive line was already bad. It got worse today. Might not be a great spot for your rookie quarterback, but this is an offense that's looking for any kind of spark it can get, and I think there are plays being left on the field in their passing game.
Well, Phil Perry, fortunately, you left no plays on that field behind you. You gave us the spark in this show. You did a great job in pregame, too, the entire pregame. We appreciate you as usual, my friend. We'll see you back here